Hello. I am William Reeve Damon, or better known as Reeve, and I'm here with Alex,
Hello.
Jack,
Hey,
and we are going to be debating on the topic on whether or not we should bring back duels. All right?
Okay.
And I start now, I guess. All right.
Okay.
So the
so-
actual... Okay. Yeah. sorry.
okay, to summarize.
All right. The actual history of duels is when one person disagrees with another and they take it outside and they end up hurting each other. But the actual idea of it, of solving conflict with a mutually accepted competition between the two, is something I believe we should bring back in modern day, where most solutions are usually in a court of law.
Oh, so it should be. Sorry,
Of course, sorry. Okay, I'm coming back in. The actual wait, sorry.
No, take your time.
Yeah.
No rush, Mr. Damon.
The act of killing is not beneficial to an actual conflict, but it is something of an accessory to it. I believe we can bring back duels while also changing the form of it to being simple competition between whether it be arm wrestling. What are my other rock paper scissors? Running competition, seeing who's faster, just simple things to figure out simple conflicts, not needing to have a whole
And
court of
incorporate
law.
that into the legal system.
And we should incorporate that into the legal system, whether or not both parties mutually accept it. Because if one person accepts the other person's duel, then they both mutually accept that whatever the outcome is, they both accept it too. So it makes it, I can't say that. I can't say in an argument. The benefits of bringing back the duel allows us to solve simple conflicts with simple solutions with just a little simple competition. I guess I got nothing. Those 3 minutes. Ah!
Well, we were gonna go.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to start out, Mahoney?
Yeah, I'll start out. Okay, so to reiterate, your basic argument is that we should have duels as a method of solving legal disputes. Specifically legal disputes or just disputes in general?
Disputes in general, including legal disputes.
Okay, and you condone, and just to make sure I understand everything, do you condone duels to the death as an appropriate method of dueling?
I would say no, because times are different.
So you are essentially saying that so lethal duels are not allowed.
No, they're not.
Okay. So you are essentially arguing that any legal dispute, whether it be financial or what about criminal disputes?
Do you mean like criminal v victim?
Yes.
If both parties consent to it, then yes.
Any and all.
So you're arguing that if in a murder trial, for instance, I'm simply asking, in a murder trial, for instance, if both parties consent, are you insinuating that a dispute between a case between a accused murderer and a victim could be solved through a duel?
Well, it sounds like the victim is dead, so I don't think it would be possible to.
Well, no, but as in their family. Their family.
If the family wants to, then yeah. If they challenge him to a duel and then he accepts, then yes.
So, what you're essentially arguing is that the justice system can
Cut it.
Sorry, I got caught. I caught my own words for a second. I'm sorry. Okay. Um. Okay.
Yeah.
We're back in focus mode.
Yeah.
So I do take some issue with your argument, and
Explain.
my chief concern is that it essentially means that, well, I see two issues with it. One is that it in some ways it sort of um compromises the judicial process, because you're essentially, because for example, or not, sorry, not for example, but theoretically the justice system, and or any legal or any like legal proceeding is supposed to be resolved based on criteria. I mean, if in a lawsuit, for example, the prosecutor and the defendant are essentially arguing who is right in this dispute, whether or not one party was wronged by the other, or whether one resolution should be decided by the other. And that is based on legal criteria. In an embezzlement case, for instance, it would be based on whether or not that person had the right to pocket that money, whether or not they did pocket that money, and such. You're essentially arguing that a proceeding such as that should base itself on a duel, as in something like rock paper scissors, um, or race or something. The issue there is that it's being based on an independent variable. How good a runner you are is an independent variable. It has nothing to do with whether or not you were right to embezzle money or whether or not you did embezzle money, if I am to use that specific example. So that's the first issue.
Yes.
I mean, another one is that another issue, if you take rock paper scissors, theoretically, it's based on another independent variable, luck. So that pretty much compromises the judicial process. My second issue is that it seems I can't quite see an scenario, a realistic scenario in which
That's actually where I was gonna say as well. Is that I can't find a point where this is ever applicable to a trial.
Would you like to cover that one?
Yeah, that's the main issue that I was thinking of, like, when we first brought up this topic, is that when you're looking at something like a trial, in any case, I can't think of a, like, situation where rock, paper, scissors, or a race is applicable. Could you think of any?
Me?
Mr. Daniel?
Yeah.
Okay. So is it my time to shine on the counterpoints?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. My first main counterpoint to your point is that it's completely consensual. It doesn't like make the actual justice system like inoperable, because it has to be a consent of two parties. It can't just be a one-party consent. So whether or not the punishment or solution is resolved is between these two parties. But if they don't want that, then it would, of course, go to the actual judicial system. And I don't know about you, but I've met a lot of people in my life who are really petty and are really just like really petty, and they want to prove who's better. So they would want to do a dispute like this.
You don't think they'd want to make that outside the process? Like if they got into a dispute over a financial issue, I'm sure maybe they might want to arm wrestle, but I don't. Do you honestly think that the party who has the most to lose would want to risk everything on the arm wrestle rather than just arm wrestle outside of the judicial system?
Again, I don't think they would, but if they wanted to, then yeah, they would definitely they should be allowed to do that.
What is the point of this law?
Point of this law is to let the people to solve independent issues like independently without having to use a court of law. Of course, it being like official through law.
I see the addition. If it's a two-party consent, at the end of the day, I'm finding it pretty harmless. But at the end of the day as well, I still can't find a single situation where this is applicable. So it seems like more to study in law school that a lawyer's never going to use ever.
that's an entirely different point. But there's also the issue.
We could get into that, but
there's also the issue of redundancy. If you're really deciding to throw away the traditional judicial process in favor of something like rock paper scissors, it essentially, the person who is prosecuting, who theoretically is prosecuting because they've been wronged, is essentially knowingly throwing away their chance of actually having the court turn in their favor based on the rule of law. So in that case, why even sue? Why not sue necessarily, but why even seek legal counsel in that scenario?
All right, my counterpoint for that is that sometimes in some scenarios, some people may get more out of what they want from when it comes to stuff like suing. Maybe like, for example, you're suing somebody for like $1 million, but you guys have the option of a duel and you guys both agree to pay each other $2 million. That would maybe have both parties want to consent to a duel to maybe get more money out of the other. But of course there is the risk, and whether or not they want to take the risk is entirely their own like personal choice.
My main issue is that I don't see why that has to be instituted into law. If two people want to make a personal agreement, then they can, and they could even sign a contract, even if it has no technical legal backing. They can still sign a contract and do a pseudo legal duel. But I feel as though implementing this into law does nothing truly helpful, but does invite the possibility of it being exploited as a loophole.
It seems more like something that already exists through what you already said, contract. Signing a contract on something.
All right.
It seems like this is already solved.
My counterpoint to it is that the word duel sounds a lot cooler than contract, all right? So
You're right.
Well, this is not... Well, this is... You can still call it a duel, but you're signing a contract.
Yeah.
Does the word legal proceedings sound cooler than contract?
Duel sounds cooler than both.
He's right.
It's hot.
I think we've been going for a good time.
I mean, to be honest, I don't really think this is relevant, but personally, I'd argue that duel is only a word that spelling looks cool. I don't think it actually sounds cool. It sounds really stupid, but...
Well, that was the point of the debate.
Okay. It seems so, in essence, what I'm getting from your argument, Mr. Damon, is that you seem to be arguing largely based on a cool factor and not based on practical criteria.
Which I won't judge.
And you may be right, but that doesn't dissolve my point that we should bring it back.
Well, I think that to some extent it does possibly I think it does possibly put into question to what extent your proposal should be considered.
I
legally.
think it should be genuine.
Even consideration of your point in a legal court is it costs resources. It costs time.
Yes.
And I'm sorry.
And in a way, that can be helpful for
that's the ideal of
some prosecutors if they want to just spend more time wasting time in court, make it harder for the other team. But at the end of the day, that just ruins the legal system.
My counterpoint for why it should be considered into a court of law is that it is obviously, as I've stated before, a simple solution between two parties, two consenting parties to be exact. But it also benefits to the idea of American freedom. That's a horrible point. That's a horrible point. That's so bad. That is such a bad point.
We're back here. We're back here.
Sorry. I was thinking about the car argument and I couldn't think of anything, so I was like, American freedom.
We're back here.
Dude, Jack just can't destroy me like that. I gotta come back with a claim. I gotta come back.
You are fighting an uphill battle right now, Reeve. I
no,
want
no,
that to be known.
no. I can do it. I can do it. I can counter.
You're fine.
I'm more
Like,
powerful than you believe me to be. All
okay, I'll believe you, man.
right. All right. Jack, to counter your point, I think the idea of duels is more of a personal dispute than more of a something that goes against the court and judicial system of America. My actual idea is that I don't know if you've ever watched Judge Judy or anything like that, but a lot of the cases are really pathetic disputes about whether or not they wronged me in some certain way. Of course, usually it is real, but I mean, actually, wait, no, scratch that. Judge Judy's a bad point. Have you seen those the shows? I forgot what they're called, where they have like you are the father, you are not the father.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like they could also some disputes like that. Of course, they could be in a court of law, but if both parties did benefit to a simple duel, then they could decide whether or not which party is in the right by their own consenting. Of course, when it's become like an actual judicial problem on whether or not they stole a ton of money or they committed a felony, that could be, of course, bad and undermine the judicial system. But whether or not both parties consent is, of course, by themselves, as I said. But I think the more the idea of the duel is more towards smaller, petty disputes rather than bigger, issues.
Okay.
Like felonies.
So, all right. I have a few points that I'd like to make.
All right.
First of all, I'd like to say that I don't think that Judge Judy nor Judge Judy is not a real Judge Judy is not a real
I don't think anything on Judge Judy is real. I actually don't think she is a judge. That's one point.
My first point is that I don't believe that Judge Judy is really a credible example for anything having to do with the legal system, nor is I know that she may have been a judge at one point, but I don't think that her show is really a good point to argue. Or what was the other example you gave? What was it?
It was just the guy who's like, "You're not the father" or whatever.
You're not the father. So I don't think that those are really proper examples to give with regard to the legal system. But for the purposes of the rest of my dissecting your argument, we'll just stick with them. Once again, you talked to some about solving personal petty disputes.
Yes.
And going against the legal system, the established legal system. In that case, I would go back to my earlier argument that they shouldn't be implemented as part of the legal system and that they should be based on agreed upon between two parties, but functioning entirely outside the legal system. You can sign a pseudo contract just through written signature, and I don't see any reason why these petty disputes based on the criteria of these simple little duels should exist in any context beyond just contract signing. I think that otherwise it does nothing but invite potential for the legal system to be exploited, or it could delegitimize the legal system, or consume excess resources. I think that your argument largely fails to consider that.
All right. My counterpoint, changing my whole argument, we should just rename contracts to duels.
Well, so I think we've had a great 20-minute discussion. I don't know about you, Jack, but I feel as if we both made our points very well.
Wait, we need conclusions. We need to say conclusions. All right, say your conclusion.
All right.
Nothing happened.
Right. Here are my concluding statements. I believe that the criteria upon which Mr. Damon has based his argument is largely not credible and not applicable to the legal system. places a really large you place a large emphasis on solving personal or petty disputes, and I believe that largely makes it unapplicable to the legal system and should instead be based on personal agreement or written pseudo contract. I think that the examples he proposes aren't applicable. Judge Judy is not really applicable to the legal system. And in conclusion, I believe that the dual system is unnecessary, should be left outside the legal system, and only invites opportunity for exploitation of the legal system, delegitimization of the legal system, or invites the potential of consuming excess resources for a extremely specific and largely unnecessary reason. Therefore,
And I do think that, like, I think we all know that the legal system is flawed and the justice system isn't fair, but
this does nothing to resolve those issues.
This only adds more.
Exactly. Therefore, duels should not be reestablished as an aspect of the legal process.
I just think for the average person in the justice system, this isn't good for them. It's unfair.
All right, my conclusion. While I do agree with you, and I think you're right in every single department, and my argument is horrible and really bad and very dumb.
Don't say this in the...
Okay, this is all cut. It's all cut. It's all nothing.
You can say that, honestly. I don't think that's an issue.
I mean, don't just say it like that.
Okay, we're starting from now. What were my points? They all sucked.
You have to reiterate them.
All right. In conclusion, Jack, your points are much better, much more well constructed. I still do believe that petty arguments made by the individual of the American people and under the judicial system should be allowed to be able to use a simple doing process, but as you already stated, that is much of a simple contract. But of course, more of the idea of dueling is honestly a lot more appealing, and that's really all my argument really has to be, because you've literally explained fully about how that is technically already in there, and also just bringing back the idea of a duel is just, cause of exploitation. So that is my conclusion to this
You need to conclude
recording.
I think you should conclude by supporting your argument.
But I can't, dude. Oh my god, how do I support something?
And can you end the debate by being convinced of the other side?
Yeah, that's isn't that usually how it is?
Fine,
I mean, I don't think it has to be, but
no, people never actually convince someone in a debate. But
we literally just did. We literally just did. We literally
project, like, it's fine.
And
I don't think Reeve was ever. Never mind.
I'm not cutting this part out. It's up to you. You can tell me this as soon as I submit it. You can tell me whether or not it was bad or good or bad or really bad or good. And you can not blame me and blame my friends, because it was my argument and I messed it up, but they influenced me. No, I'm gonna cut this out.
Okay. So where are we putting this in?
This is a bad bit. All right, I'm gonna end it.
I'm speaking to you. Wait, did you conclude?
I concluded that I agreed with Jack. That was my conclusion. I'll maybe get like a 60 or 70, and I'll do a couple great shit.
Was there anything that wasn't in the debate?
Nothing I can think of.
Yeah, I mean, I think it worked.
Yeah. All right. Bye.